Hey everyone. Throwaway account for obvious reasons. I'm a 35-year-old guy married to my 33-year-old wife for 7 years. We've got one daughter, 5 years old, and up until a few months ago, I thought our life was not perfect, but solid. We had our routines, the usual ups and downs, nothing out of the ordinary. I've always been the kind of husband who tries to provide stability emotionally and financially. I'm no saint, but I've never cheated, lied, or disrespected her. About a year ago, we started seriously talking about moving to Spain. Her idea, mostly. She said she wanted a change of scenery, a slower pace of life, a more European culture for our daughter. I was open to it. Why not? My job allows me to work remotely, and I thought it'd be a cool adventure for the family. That's when she signed up for Spanish lessons. Totally normal, right? We both agreed it would be good to learn the language before the move, especially for her since she'd be handling more of the local stuff while I worked from home. But it got weird quickly. She got very into it. Like, obsessed. She started dressing up for her lessons, which were suddenly in person 2, then 3 times a week. At first, I thought it was cute, her enthusiasm. But then she'd come back home late. Flushed. Smelling like cologne, not her perfume. She'd laugh it off when I commented. Said I was being insecure and paranoid, that I should be happy she was doing something for the family's future. I tried to believe her. I really did. I didn't want to be that jealous husband who can't let his wife have space. But something wasn't right. Then she started snapping at me over small things. Getting defensive. She even told me I was suffocating her when I asked if I could join her for a group Spanish lesson sometime. Apparently, it was advanced level only. That was my first real red flag. But the moment I knew I needed to do something was when our daughter asked me why mommy's Spanish teacher hugs her at the car and kisses her like the princess movies. That hit me like a truck. So after my daughter dropped that little bomb about the princess kisses, I did what any confused, heart-thumping husband would do. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't want to accuse her blindly, but I couldn't shake it off either. I replayed her schedule in my head. The timing. The perfume. The sudden increase in how often she was studying. The weird text she never let me see. She used to leave her phone lying around, now she treated it like a damn vault. The next week, I told her I had an early Zoom meeting. I didn't. I waited until she left for her private lesson, and then I followed her. She had no idea. She drove to this artsy, tucked-away language center downtown, the kind of place with vines growing up the side and Spanish guitar music playing from speakers outside. I parked a block away and waited. She went in. I waited 30 minutes. Then 45. I started to think maybe I really was losing it. Then he showed up. Younger guy. Late 20s, maybe. Tan, tight shirt, designer jeans, that arrogant, smug look on his face like he thinks the world owes him a standing ovation. I watched him walk right in with that bounce in his step. 10 minutes later, I saw them through the side window. The Spanish lesson was her on his lap. Laughing. Hands everywhere. I couldn't see much else, but I didn't need to. I felt sick. I felt like something in me cracked open and started bleeding. I sat there in my car, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just went numb. The worst part? My first thought wasn't, she's cheating on me. It was our daughter. How could she bring this chaos into our family, into our child's life, for some ego trip with her hotshot tutor? I drove home in silence. I didn't confront her that day. I didn't even bring it up that night. I needed time. I needed a plan. I waited 3 days. 3 long, brutal days where I pretended everything was normal while my insides were twisting up like a pretzel. Every time she kissed me on the cheek, every time she laughed with our daughter, I wanted to scream. But I had to be calm. I needed the truth, not a performance. So, on Friday evening, I told her I'd booked a sitter because we needed to talk. Her eyes darted around immediately. She got cagey, arms crossed, posture stiff. She tried to brush it off with, "Is this about your work stress again?" I said, "No. This is about you. And Miguel." She blinked. Hard. Like a deer in headlights. Then, without missing a beat, she said, "You've been spying on me? Seriously? That's disgusting." That's how she started. Not, "I'm sorry." Not, "It's not what you think." Nope. She immediately flipped the script on me like I was the problem. Classic deflection. I told her I followed her. I told her I saw them together. I told her I knew. And then came the crocodile tears. "Oh my God, I didn't mean for it to happen. He was just helping me with pronunciation after class. It only happened once. I felt so alone. You've been so cold lately." He made me feel seen. She ran through every excuse in the cheater's playbook, like she'd been rehearsing this. And then the clincher. I was going to end it anyway. "You just caught me before I could." I asked her straight up, "Did you ever think about our daughter? About what this would do to her?" Her response? "She doesn't know. Kids forget stuff. Don't be dramatic." That right there? That shattered something in me. The fact that she could be so flippant about our child, it hit harder than the cheating itself. After that confrontation, I couldn't sleep. I barely ate. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything in my head, every lie she told, every time I trusted her, every night she came home and kissed our daughter goodnight like everything was fine. I was in pieces. Anger came first. I punched a hole in the garage wall, something I'm not proud of, but I felt like I had no outlet. Then came the confusion. Was I not enough? Did I push her away somehow? Was this my fault? I kept asking myself those questions over and over. I started second-guessing every memory. Did she even love me at all? Was Miguel the first? Was this a pattern I was too blind to see? And the worst part, our daughter. She kept asking me if mommy was mad because we were speaking less. Kids always know when something's wrong. I tried to shield her from it, but I wasn't doing a great job. I was broken, and she could feel it. I tried to talk to friends, but most just said the usual, "You have to leave her." She crossed the line. That's unforgivable. But part of me, a sick part, maybe, didn't want to leave. I wanted to understand. I wanted to fix it. I still loved her, or at least, I loved the version of her I thought I knew. And then there was our kid. I was grieving. Not just the betrayal, I was grieving the life I thought I had. The future I thought we were building. After a few weeks of barely functioning, I realized I couldn't live in limbo anymore. I had to make a decision, not just for myself, but for our daughter too. My wife kept trying to patch things up. She texted me constantly, left notes on the fridge, even signed us up for marriage counseling. At first, I ignored her. I couldn't imagine trusting her again. But then she did something unexpected. She quit her Spanish lessons. Cold turkey. She blocked Miguel on everything and showed me. She even changed her phone number. More than that, she actually showed up. For our daughter. For me. She cooked, she cleaned, she stayed up late talking to me about everything, including things we'd ignored for years. Her tone changed. The bitchy, controlling version of her started softening. Maybe because she saw how close she came to losing everything. At first, I thought it was an act. But weeks turned into months, and she stuck with it. We started therapy together. She admitted everything, the excitement, the ego boost, the guilt. She didn't excuse it. That mattered more than I expected. I wrestled with the decision. Part of me wanted revenge. But another part just wanted peace. I remembered the love we used to have, and how, despite everything, we still had a family worth saving. So, I made the hardest choice of my life. I decided to try. Not forget. Not instantly forgive. But try. Trying again didn't mean everything went back to normal. In fact, nothing was normal anymore. But that might have been a good thing. We laid it all out in counseling. The resentment. The emotional neglect. The lack of communication that quietly built a wall between us. I told her how humiliated I felt, how deeply betrayed. She didn't defend herself anymore. She just listened, and for once, I felt heard. We set ground rules, complete transparency. She gave me her phone password without me asking. She stopped going out alone for a while. Not because I demanded it, but because she wanted to rebuild trust, not just ask for it. The hardest part? Intimacy. Not just physical, emotional. There were nights I'd lie next to her and feel like I was sleeping beside a stranger. Some nights I'd get triggered by the dumbest things, a Spanish song, a calendar reminder, even her perfume. But she didn't snap at me like before. She just said, "I know. I'm sorry. I'm here." Little by little, something shifted. Our daughter noticed first. She said, "You guys laugh more now." I hadn't even realized it. It wasn't perfect. I still had doubts. I still had flashes of rage. But for the first time in a long time, we were trying, both of us. And that made a difference. Just when I thought we were getting back on track, life threw another curveball. One night, I was putting away laundry and found an envelope tucked into the back of my wife's drawer. It was odd, not hidden exactly, but definitely out of sight. I probably wouldn't have looked twice, except it had my name on it. Inside? A handwritten letter, in Spanish. I had it translated by a friend at work. And what I read made my stomach drop. It was from her Spanish teacher. It wasn't recent, dated a couple of months back, but it was clearly a goodbye letter. He said he was ending things because he didn't want to ruin her family and that he still dreamed about the nights they spent together. He hoped she'd be happy, even if it wasn't with him. That letter had never been sent. She kept it. Why? When I confronted her about it, she panicked, completely caught off guard. She claimed she forgot it was there. Said it meant nothing. That it was just old drama she didn't want to dig up again. But it meant something to me. It meant she hadn't told me the whole truth. Again. I felt like I'd been pulled back into the betrayal all over again. That heavy pit in my stomach returned, worse than before. We were healing, I thought. But now I wasn't so sure. How do you trust someone who's still keeping secrets? I'll be honest, I almost walked away that night. Finding that letter reopened every wound. The lies. The sneaking around. The way she looked me in the eye and swore I knew everything. I felt like a fool for trying so hard to fix things when maybe she wasn't. She cried when I said I was thinking of leaving. She begged. She said the letter was a stupid mistake she kept out of guilt, not because she still had feelings for him. That she wanted to burn it but couldn't bring herself to because it was part of her shame. She asked me to go to therapy together. That was the first time she ever suggested it. Said she wanted to prove she was serious about rebuilding things, not just saying the right things to keep me from leaving. I didn't answer her that night. Instead, I went and stayed at my brother's place for a few days. I needed space. Time to breathe. I talked to people I trusted, my brother, a friend from college who'd been through a divorce, even the therapist I'd been seeing alone. I had a choice to make: cut the cord and walk away, or take one last chance, fully aware it might end in even more pain. I chose to come back. But on my terms. We'd go to counseling. We'd get everything out in the open. And if I even sensed another lie, I was done. She agreed. But that night when I came back, the look in her eyes was different. Less defensive. More scared. Like she finally realized just how close she'd come to losing everything. Rebuilding trust after betrayal isn't some movie montage where things magically improve after a few therapy sessions and heartfelt apologies. It's slow. Awkward. Sometimes humiliating. We started couples therapy the following week. And to my surprise, she showed up emotionally, not just physically. The sessions were raw. She admitted to a lot more than I expected. The flirtation started earlier than she let on. She did enjoy the attention, and she did consider ending our marriage during that time. That one hit hard. But she also said something I didn't expect: it had nothing to do with you not being enough. It was me not being enough for myself. I didn't accept it at first. How could I? It felt like a cheap excuse. But over time, I started to see she was putting in real work. She cut off all contact with the Spanish teacher, blocked his number, deleted his socials, even changed her number. She gave me access to her phone, email, everything. I didn't ask for that, she offered it. Even more shocking? She agreed to cancel our move abroad. Said she wanted to prove she wasn't chasing escape anymore. Was I fully convinced she was being genuine? No. Not yet. But for the first time since all this started, I saw effort. Guilt. Humility. A crack in the armor of the woman who used to bark orders and storm out when conversations got hard. And strangely, that gave me a tiny spark of hope. Maybe we could build something new, not what we had before, but something real. If you had told me a year ago that I'd be sitting here, still married to the woman who cheated on me with her Spanish teacher, I would have laughed in your face or maybe punched it. But here I am. We're not some happily ever after story. We're more like a rebuilding project. Messy, uneven, still under construction. But I've learned a hell of a lot through this. Cheating isn't always about you. I spent so much time blaming myself. Was I boring, not affectionate enough, not ambitious enough? Truth is, sometimes people cheat because of their own internal garbage that has nothing to do with you. Anger is easy. Forgiveness is work. I wanted to burn everything down, and honestly, maybe I should have. But I'm stubborn, and I didn't want to make a decision based purely on rage. I'm glad I didn't. Forgiving her doesn't mean forgetting, and it doesn't mean what she did was okay. It just means I'm choosing peace over poison. Trust can be rebuilt, but only with mutual effort. I had to learn how to communicate better, to say what I was feeling instead of bottling it up. She had to learn how to listen, be transparent, and show remorse consistently. Therapy helped. Time helped more. Listen to your gut, but don't let it be your only compass. Following my instincts led me to the truth. But deciding what to do with that truth required logic, patience, and sometimes, stepping away from Reddit threads full of "dump her immediately." You're allowed to walk away, or stay. You're not weak if you give someone a second chance. And you're not heartless if you leave. You have to do what gives you peace, not what earns applause. If someone out there is reading this and going through something similar, take a breath. Step back. Don't react in the moment. Don't let pride dictate your path. Whatever you decide, make sure it's for you, not for how it'll look to others.